This is NDTV and you're watching NDTV Prime.
Everybody loves a good movie, a play or an ad. While most people appreciate the storylines and the actors who portray the characters, there's a lot more to it than just that. For one thing, there's a crucial yet underrated element called costume design, which brings the entire show together. It's also a great option for aspiring designers, yet a challenging one. So what does it take to become a costume designer in India? Some of the most memorable and iconic scenes in movies and plays are always remembered thanks to the perfect portrayal of characters. More importantly, what also makes these characters seem a bit more convincing are the costumes they don. It's this love for translating imagination into wearable, convincing costumes for characters that led Sonali Subbaiah to the world of costumes, fashion design and styling.
I was lucky enough to land my first gig with a friend of mine because she's a director for plays and she was my junior in school. So she approached me, to come and just see what the play is about. Most of the plays that I've done are based out of books. So I read like certain parts of the script and I read certain parts of the play. So I just looked into what the author himself or herself imagined the character to look like and I just derived stuff from that, yeah.
Sonali is a freelance designer who graduated from La Salle University in Singapore and today dabbles in a bit of everything when it comes to design. Not only does she design regular wearable clothes and also style photo shoots, but she's also a costume designer for various plays being staged in the city. She says that to be a costume designer, a person must be meticulous.
You read the script, you see what the script involves, and then the director, obviously the director has a particular way everything's supposed to look like. He or she already knows what the turnout's supposed to be. So your communication with the director has to be spot on. How it works over here is you get hired to do costumes for a movie. You obviously meet the actor, you meet the female actor and the male actor and you get your measurements and it obviously depends on what the movie is about. So I'm only talking movies because that's what basically is the main industry in India. So most of the stuff what's done in movies over here is sourcing work. So you go to stores and buy something that's already existing. But when it comes to maybe a movie which is like a periodic movie, maybe something about mythology, or if it's like a period based movie, then there's a lot of research involved and there's a lot of creation and creating involved.
Sonali isn't the only one looking to make it big in the tough world of costume design in India. It's a field that many aspirant designers covet. But what does a costume designer's role involve? Their key role is to help define the various characters of a story in a movie or stage production. This primarily happens with the use of clothing itself, and also other props and material needed to make the characters true to the story. This can even mean multiple costumes for each scene, depending on the change in attitude and storyline of the character. Not only does a costume designer need understanding of fashion, but also of marketing, film and production. Apart from this, it needs tons of research and know-how of the world in general.
Get your National Geographic books out, see what's happening around the world, know what is culturally important in every country, like subcultures, culture, traditions. I think all that involves into what goes into being a costume designer, because you can't just look at one aspect of things. You got to start like for fresh graduates, what I would say is you should start having a bird's eye view about your surroundings, your environment. So don't pay attention to a lot of detail.
Experts like Sonali say that the field is tougher still in India, since making it big as a costume designer has a lot to do with networking.
Like I said over here, you've got to mingle with the right people. Like even if you're talented, you've got to mingle with the right people, because you've got to really put yourself out there. But over there, you can be the most quiet person, the most introverted person, but you can, like, if you're producing the best work, they'll hire you blindly, because they're looking at your job. They'll hire you at the blink of an eye. So over there, I think it's more like, can you do this? How good are you? Like, yeah, you're talking the talk, but can you walk the walk? Over here, you have to walk the walk and talk the talk. So it's like, I think over here, but there is a lot of scope over here, and I think the industry is slowly changing into experimenting more.
While Sonali's pet favorite is costume design, given the industry, she also complements her career by making sure she works in other fields of design as well. She says that not only does this act as a buffer, but it also helps in broadening skills essential to design. This is also why she advises young graduates to focus on broader courses at the undergraduate level.
It's like someone studying to be a doctor. So you don't first-hand itself study to be a cardiosurgeon or like an ophthalmologist. You actually do get your basic really strong for about 4-5 years, and then you branch out into doing a specialized course into what you want to become. So that's exactly how the fashion industry is. So you study, you get your basics really strong, which is a very broad a broad perspective of what everything is. And then if you're like, no, I want to be a costume designer, you go ahead and do like a 2-year specialized course in costume designing, because that would I think finish your skills with getting quality work done.
From Sonali's 6 years experience in the field, she says that one of the best ways for costume designers to sustain themselves until they make the cut is by diversifying and being versatile in the kind of work that they choose. Meanwhile, Ankita caught up with a young designer from Mumbai on his take on this matter.
Arjun Pasi was passionate about fashion since he was 12 years old. But like most people, he too brushed it aside as just another hobby. That's when his family intervened, and after a course at the ITM Institute of Fashion Design and Technology in Mumbai, there's been no looking back for this young designer. But interestingly, instead of going the more popular way in his profession, fashion designing, Arjun picked a less chosen path. He opted for costume designing.
When I got my first movie, I was like very fascinated with the way the industry works, the way the costume industry works, where everything is quick. You have to there's a shoot tomorrow, you have to come up with something today. But whereas in the fashion industry, you have time where you do research, forecast, fabric shopping, then production. But in costume designing, what you do is basically you start with building the character up. That the director has imagined a character. You have to put that to life on screen with your clothes, because the first thing that you see on screen is the clothes what the character is wearing.
Getting in sync with the director's vision and creating costumes according to the demands of the script is a costume designer's first and foremost job. To do this, much research is required, as Arjun realized while he was working on his first Hindi movie project, Main or Charles, a biopic on conman Charles Sobraj, and hence set in the 1970s.
In a movie, you dress up a character that has already been perceived by the director. He has an image of the character in his head, and director is the center point where the whole movie revolves around. So into consideration, you have to give your inputs about the character's looks in costumes when you do for movie. And you would say ki a little bit restricted, because that has already been perceived by the director, so you cannot completely change the look of the character. So you have to stick to what the director thinks most of the times.
But your options aren't just limited to movies if you're looking to become a costume designer. Theatre and TV shows are other fields that you could explore. With a new television show hitting the small screens almost every month, a lot of young costume designers are now getting their break.
Costume designing, there are a lot of shows that you can do, and dressing them up, yeah, that's one option. Movies is an option. Theatre is there. You dress people who play in the theatres. Costume designing has a lot of different things to it.
While bagging an opportunity in the field of costume design may not be as difficult, what are the skill sets required to survive in this industry? For one, apart from being creative, you need to have excellent design skills, research skills, a fair knowledge about period costumes and different cultures, have good knowledge of garment production, and ultimately be able to work under strict deadlines. And if you think you have what it takes to make it, you need to brace yourself for the cutthroat competition.
It is very competitive, very. The competition is so high because, if you're good at your work, you do get work, but the competition, you do something that somebody else would do it for less. There are competitions like that, and as the industry's rule is, be sweet to everybody. So you have to be sweet to everybody, right? In order to, be there, or you just vanish.
So those were two professionals who gave us more clarity on the job profile of a costume designer in India. Now I also got talking to students who are looking to specialize in this field, but more on that after this short break.